Let's go then to our SABC News reporter, Abra Barbier, who is in Parliament, sharing with us the goings-on in the House, as it were. Abra, good evening to you and welcome. We saw you getting reaction from different MPs, but before we talk about some of the sentiments that you heard, just take us into the House. And Mpumelelo was talking to us about the decorum that needed to be observed. In fact, the quorum of the House itself, that members should have been there for what is an important day to fulfill a very important constitutional requirement. Take us into some of the highlights.
Iman, good evening to you as well. I don't know if you managed to hear, I think it was the NFP. When the NFP MP took to the podium, the first thing he said was, he said something along the lines of, we're speaking about the decorum of the Office of the Public Protector, but we need to question ourselves. We need to look at our decorum and are we fit to be appointing somebody based on how we behave. So that basically sums up everything that you just said to me now. I don't want to say whether the DA was out of control or out of hand, because of course both sides feel that they were justified. The DA, I spoke to them outside after they walked out. They are adamant that the Speaker's ruling was wrong. They say the Speaker did not make the correct call, and they again said something along the lines of her not knowing the rules of the House. John Steenhuisen did tell me that they will be making an announcement within the next 24 hours on what their way forward is in terms of what it is that they're going to do regarding what happened in the House today. The EFF MP, Jimmy Money, who I spoke to outside as well after he was thrown out, also said that they are going to be closely watching the new public protector, and he said that he expects motions of impeachment motions against her very, very soon. He's got very, very little faith in what she is going to be doing going forward. So it was just those two parties who weren't in the House for the vote. You mentioned, isn't it an important vote? I believe that even if they were in the House, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. I remember when I did my calculations, when the committee completed its work, my calculations were actually correct in terms of the numbers saying yes. So I don't think it would have made much of a difference, but I suppose there is a debate to be had about whether all parties should be in the House. And I mean, even if you look at a division being called, once the DA walked out, we thought that no division would be called after parties initially voted, but then the Speaker called for a division, which was quite uncalled for, quite unusual, and she then later explained that because this is such an important vote, they needed to do it roll call, so MP by MP by MP. So that should basically tell you how important it was and the gravitas of this moment today, and why it was important for all parties representing South Africans to make their voices heard in the House today. Iman?
And Abra, just judging by how you've characterized the reactions of the NFP and the EFF and Jimmy Money, a recent addition to their MP bench, their approach regarding the new public protector now that they're, things like expecting impeachment and so on, discussing with our legal analyst whether she was going to bring stability to the office. But given that the battle lines are being drawn even as we speak, the ink is not dry on her appointment, it certainly indicates that she's going to be in for a tough ride and extra scrutiny.
Yes, I will remind you that Glynis Breitenbach, who was one of the most vociferous voices against the new public protector, she did give her kudos, hey? She did say, do you know what? While she was acting, she actually got a few things right. I mean, you have to give her that. At least the DA said that. But the DA then went on to say, but was it enough? Was what she did in the short time that she was acting enough? I think that, yes, she's going to be in the hot seat. And not just in the hot seat because of the views for and against her. She's going to be in the hot seat just based on the office that she is now leading. Looking at the recent history of this office, she has a huge task ahead of her. She not only has to lift the morale of her staff members, but she also has to turn that office around, and she has to make sure that the public can once again have trust in the office of the public protector. So I think on both fronts, on all fronts, she is going to be in the hot seat. Based on what I saw in her interviews, she can handle herself well. I will say she can handle herself well. Whether she will be successful in all her reports and all her findings going forward, of course, that remains to be seen, but she will have to stay on her toes.
Abra Barbier, thank you very much for bringing us the latest there.